when I got cast in this live concert version of Jesus Christ Superstar, I was very excited. I was very excited about the idea. Though, look, I don't express my excitement in like a traditional outward way. So, like my agents and everybody around me was complaining. They were like, "When we tell you things, it's so anticlimactic. Are you excited?" I was like, "No, believe me, I'm very excited." But I've contained excitement. I've focused excitement. For those who aren't familiar, Jesus Christ Superstar is essentially it's about the relationship between Jesus and Judas, who's one of his disciples, and it really kind of focuses on the last 3 days of Jesus' life before he is crucified. So we really kind of focus on the relationships between Jesus and the disciples and Mary Magdalene, and we get a kind of internal look at how those events might have taken place. My character's name is Judas Iscariot, and he is Jesus' most beloved and dedicated, devoted disciple. And as things begin to come to a head, at the time, Judas begins to feel like the message that Jesus has been preaching is being corrupted, is being warped, and that people are beginning to simply endow Jesus with the message and beginning to deify Jesus. And Judas recognizes that that is a problem. That's not the focus of the message. And so he beseeches his friend to put a stop to those things, and that is where they come into a conflict. I feel like I relate very closely to Judas Iscariot because I feel like myself, I also am a bringer of truth. Judas was simply trying to preach the message, the truth of the message, the foundational message, and I like to think that I do that in life as well. I think audiences at home are going to relate to this show and also my character specifically because really what Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice did when they wrote the show was they tried to move kind of past the mythology and past the blanket titles we give to these figures and to this story in time, and to really examine the human relationships that they had and how they really pushed and pulled with one another, so that we can maybe look at them as less a black and white thing and more of a spectrum. And hopefully that will reflect on us in our communities as well. We are a spectrum. The most exciting part of this role for me is how the score is written and where Judas's parts are written. It's kind of rock, funk centric. That's where Judas's music lies, and I love screaming and wailing and riffing on these things. So like the kind of the power and the passionate fury that Judas expresses through his music. That's what I really love about it. I can lose myself in it. So I know that this show is like one of the most famous, like iconic rock operas that Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber have done, but I did not see the movie or hear the score until maybe a week. The week I was cast, the week we started rehearsals. I knew the songs that I auditioned with, but I wasn't familiar with any of the rest of it. And in fact, don't tell anybody, but even after rehearsal started, I realized that I hadn't finished the movie. And somebody was saying like, well, when Judas comes back and he starts singing, and I was like, wait, Judas comes back after he dies? So I went and I watched it. This man comes back and sings the best song in the show. I'm hyped. One of the things I'm impressed about with this show and how it's coming together, one of the reasons I think is going to be so exciting is not only have they gathered really the best and the most diversely talented group from the Broadway community to really create the foundation for this, but they managed to convince Miss Sarah Bareilles and Mr. John Legend to come join us as well. And really listening to their voices on this music has been a wonderful, wonderful experience, even in the early week that we've had. So you all are in for a treat. It's going to be amazing. We just got into rehearsals about a week ago. We've been in here like a brief amount of time, and so far the rehearsal process has been really, I would say it's been very comfortable. The energy of everybody in the room is highly collaborative, and everybody's excited about this show and about this event. And I think, we're about to get maybe twice as many people in the room at the end of this week, and there've only been about 13 of us, the disciples. But now here come the community and the other incredible artists that we have to kind of augment and lift the size of this show. Really, the scope of this show is going to be extraordinary. So I'm excited to see everybody get into the room, and let's just fill this rehearsal space with all the energy we're going to be able to bring to the Marcy Armory. Well, I'm used to performing in a live scenario, but this particular production, this endeavor is unique. It's a Broadway show, it's a concert, it's a television show. It's this kind of the best of all of these worlds. And I mean, it is one shot only. That is the one thing that I think about. I'm not worried about how it'll go, but it means that I got to pick my riffs very carefully. I got to pick my riffs ahead of time. I don't have time to experiment. You only get one shot. Jesus Christ Superstar really focuses on a lot of these emotional themes of love and of betrayal, of friendship, of passion, of this push and pull. And, for me in this show, my focus, particularly for my character, is really to move beyond the stereotypes of Judas Iscariot and to focus on the sensitivity and the love of the man, and to really get people to understand that this man loved Jesus and loved his message and was fighting to retain the integrity of the message and of his friend that whom he cared about so much. And in the end, Judas was correct. Jesus Christ Superstar is about the final 3 days of Jesus' life before he is crucified, and we get to investigate the relationships between him, Judas, Mary Magdalene, and his disciples, and their effect on the community.